Welcome to the session on System Center 2016. Myself, Mahesh Narayanan. I'm a Principal PM Manager in Azure Security and Management team, primarily responsible for System Center Operation Manager and some of the new cloud-based SaaS monitoring solutions. This session is an interesting one. Just want to make it very clear up front that it's less of the product group speaking. It's more of folks from you, customers, are going to speak about their experience with the 2016. You can see some good insights from several of our customers. Really thank them a lot for those support. They're going to share some of the insights about how they're using System Center 2016 in their environment. But I'm going to take a kind of a small portion of the session, just try to set some context, and then I'll invite some of these customers onto the podium. So an overview, we all know that the IT is changing. There's so much that's happening from virtualized data center to the cloud, or from the modernization of IT. So much has been spoken about it: infrastructure modernization, workload modernization, app modernization, right? And then more and more of the IT environment are getting hybrid and heterogeneous, right? So this is something which is what we all are dealing with at this point in time. So what we did for 2016 was trying to apply some kind of an investment principle, a decision-making framework, so that we can have our investment made, to pretty much address those kind of needs, right? So the first one is about continuing to support the Windows Server. And what does this mean? This means that the Windows Server and System Center together forms a great software-defined data center strategy, and we continue to do that, right? The several improvements in the tools what we have, we had to do that. I mean, it could be the fundamentals, something could be to do with UI responsiveness of the tool, as basic as that, and of course, to continue with the heterogeneous management and others. Needless to mention, there are top customer asks here. There are a lot of issues which we need to deal with. We are trying to look through various different forums, may that be the user voice or direct customer interaction, support team. We get a lot of those inputs. We're trying to prioritize and then have this fixed, both from the issues point of view as well as the asks. One thing what we are really making a change here is that trying to be a lot more proactive in our release and delivery mechanisms, right? So we're getting to a faster cadence of a release. So that's one thing which you'll see us doing. How many of you attended a session on System Center 2016 and beyond, Bala Raja Gopalan session? Nice. Okay, so you must have seen a flavor of that, what we are doing there. So this is all about that. Last but not the least, management stack story is evolving. We all understand that the needs are different when it comes to hybrid environment, and some of the needs can clearly get addressed with our tools. Some of those requires really sophisticated tools and technologies, and that's the reason why this hybrid management stack is something which we see to be a reality. So that's going to be with System Center and Azure Security and Management, right? A quick recap, full software-defined data center support with Windows Server and System Center, may that be with the software-defined storage or software-defined network controller, and what do we do with those? That's something which we have addressed. Monitoring is something which we have evolved, right? We have evolved from the point of view adding features to enhance the experience, may that be with MP discoverability to improve your monitoring experience or the speed at which you would like to start monitoring diverse technologies, improve the way that you can tackle the alert storm or alert noise kind of a problem with data-driven alert management. The operation cycles, with maintenance mode, scheduling of the maintenance mode from a planned maintenance point of view was always an issue. That's something which we have fixed. So several of those improvements. And needless to mention, the operators tool, which is the web console, has been something which we have deliberately made some investment to make it more, browser agnostic, right, with HTML5 support and stuff. This is about the efficient data protection, different line requirement when it comes to the security, right, may that for the private cloud protection and others. Easier configuration from a desktop and mobile device configuration point of view. Enhanced service management. A lot of performance improvements have been made. There's a self-service portal which has been introduced to improve the help desk scenarios. automation, may that be the SMA, SCO, the migration effort there, and the PS scripting effort and stuff, all of that has given a great improvement to the 2016 management stack. So this is just a nutshell of how Windows Server 2016 and System Center 2016 is coming together, right? You can see a lot of very, very important and crucial technologies that's shared by the Windows Server and how System Center is supporting it. Just to highlight about the Nano Server in the compute or the storage space direct investment in the Windows Server, the software-defined network controller, and a bunch of network virtual functions, and how that's getting managed by the virtual machine manager. And of course, the shielded VM, which we had started with for a Windows Server and System Center-based data center. So this, kind of setting the context, and I would like to take us through some of the customer case studies, not really spending a lot of time on the overview here. So there are customers like General Motors, Purdue Universities, ITnetX, ITON. They have deployed the System Center 2016, pretty much the whole stack, or in some cases, some portion of the components at least have been, deployed by them. We're going to hear some good insights about how they're using this particular product and how this particular product is helping them with their operations, right? So we'll start with General Motors. It's a pleasure to invite John on the podium, and I'll have him go through how they have deployed the System Center 2016. Welcome, John.
Thank you very much for being here. Again, I'm John Austin. I am a systems engineer on the infrastructure monitoring tools at General Motors, the monitoring tools team. Within that monitoring tools team, we use many different monitoring tools, System Center Operations Manager being what I spend all my time on. My communications department would not let me come here without showing you a picture of a vehicle. This is a Canyon. It happens to be what I drive. I recommend it. Yes, it's a great truck. I would like to know from you, how many of you work in maybe a smaller IT department, or maybe you are the IT department for your company? Okay, so a few of you, most of you I guess are with larger organizations then. Prior to starting at GM about 5 years ago, I spent the previous decade working in small startups. Maybe 200 people would be the most number of users in our company. And as such, I was the IT generalist. So I worked on Windows, AD, Exchange, security, both physical security of the buildings and system security. I did the phone systems. I did everything. The first SCOM experience I had was at my previous company. We were a Microsoft partner, and SCOM was one of the products that was available to us to use. So I thought I'd install it. This is what my first SCOM environment looked like. It was a server. It had the management server component, the web console, reporting server, the databases on one server. How many of you use SCOM heavily, like it's 90% of your job, something like that? Good, a good number. You guys know that's a bad idea. So when I got to GM, I was made responsible for SCOM. I was put in charge of SCOM. And we had to build it in a different way. So obviously, you start with the management server. You install the management server. As part of the installation process, you identify the database, the operations database. Because of the size of our organization, we had to account for business continuity, high availability, disaster recovery, that kind of thing. So our database was put into an availability group, each node in a different data center. So if we lost one, the other one could take up the slack. Obviously, we had to do the same for our SCOM data warehouse. One management server wasn't going to cover the thousands and thousands of agents we needed to monitor. Added a few more. Again, because we need business continuity, we had to add the same amount in the other data center that we have. So that way, if we lost an entire data center, the other data center could pick up the slack. Then we added another management server if you follow the best practices, if you actually read the installer when you're going through, it tells you that the web console reporting server should point to a management server that's not hosting agents. So that's what this management server does. Of course, we have a web console. It's not heavily used. I'll talk about why in a minute. We have a reporting server, again, not heavily used. So those 3 items, we didn't need the disaster recovery on. We needed gateways because we have several untrusted domains that we needed to monitor. And again, business continuity, we needed pairs in different data centers. So that's what one of our management groups looks like. And I want to mention that the 2 data centers have such low latency. That's why we can have one management group where the management servers are in different data centers. If your latency situation isn't good, you can't really do that. So that was one of our management groups. We have another one just like that. We have about 6 more smaller ones. So there's a lot of SCOM going on at GM. The 2 primary management groups are our corporate environment, our manufacturing environment. Again, we have to account for load balancing, high availability. There is roughly a 50-50 split between the data centers. And the reason is if we lose a data center, the other one, as I said, has to pick up the slack. It has to be able to handle 100% of the agents. Several gateways, a web console. And SCOM, it's important to note that General Motors is part of a large suite of monitoring tools. So other things like SiteScope, RUM, some other HP tools, they're part of a monitoring ecosystem we have. All these tools feed up through a business service management layer. So that gets into our customization. The business service management layer basically collects all the events from SiteScope, SCOM, all the tools that we have, feeds them through our incident routing system. So that's why we don't pay that much attention to the web console. Number one, because people use these other higher level tools to look at the alerts going on, the BSM layer. And the web console also, you may not know this, but with SCOM 2012, it's not the greatest. It can be slow. The Silverlight requirement turns some people off. So we didn't spend a lot of time with the web console. Another piece of customization we have is these scripts to automate agent remediation. An agent goes gray because somebody rebuilds a server, doesn't necessarily tell us about it. So the old record goes gray in SCOM. We have these scripts to go to the agent, read in SCOM what the management server should be, wipe out the agent's configuration, and rebuild it according to what SCOM says it should be. We use a lot of SQL-based discoveries. And you may have seen, I believe it's Kevin Holman's blog on these discoveries where you can reference an external CMDB to populate groups in SCOM. We use that quite a bit. Self-serve interfaces. We have tools, external web interfaces where we can add servers, users rather, can add servers to an interface and have them black out or go into maintenance mode in SCOM. Other things, custom management packs. Does anybody use custom management packs? Is that a silly question? Yeah, we have so many, and we've authored them ourselves. And we use the fragment-based MP authoring. Do you guys use fragment-based MP authoring? If you don't, you should. If you're trying to author any other way, I think you'll try this and it'll be better. The drawbacks, you have to have Visual Studio 2015 still?
Yeah.
For now. They're working on that. Or MP Author Professional from Select. This, I'm not going to make you pay a lot of attention to this. If you've seen Kevin Holman's blog on the external discovery, this may look familiar. It's a VB script that sits inside the management pack that looks up another data source and pulls in the data to populate a SCOM group. We use that a lot. If you have questions about this, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions because we use it a lot. It's invaluable. Now, the SCOM 2016 features that are probably most important to us, the scheduled maintenance mode, I think I think when this was first announced, people probably cheered because it's much needed. What this is going to do for us is that blackout tool that we use that reads the blackout interface and puts the thing into maintenance mode in SCOM. It has to constantly run, right? So it's running every 5 minutes, I think, to check to see if something needs to go into maintenance mode. So with the scheduled maintenance mode, what we can do is we won't actually use the wizard, which is great and very straightforward, but what we do is when somebody enters something into the blackout tool, with this, we can schedule maintenance mode on demand. So we're not constantly running a check to enter something into maintenance mode. And then, of course, the management pack management becomes so much easier with updates and recommendations. Currently, we kind of sit around working on what we've got in SCOM, but then someone will come to us say, hey, we need to monitor SharePoint, something like that. Then we have to go find the SharePoint management pack, hope that the site we're looking at has the most recent one. With this, we can go in and check SCOM on a regular basis, see if there's any new management packs available that the technology has discovered on our systems, and just pull it right down. We can go to our teams rather than waiting for them to come to us. We can go to our teams and say, we've got this monitoring available for SharePoint or whatever it is. Would you like us to start monitoring it? So that's huge for us. And of course, the tuning of management, yes, it's huge for everybody, really. And then, of course, the tuning of management packs, having a centralized place you can go to see what's causing the most noise in SCOM. When I first set up SCOM way back when, and it filled up with all those defragmentation warnings. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Obviously, I didn't know what was going on. But you can find things like that, find the noisiest monitors and tune them down. So with that, thank you very much. There's some resources here that talk about things that we use heavily, like authoring with fragments, which again, I recommend. The Ops Manager Self-Maintenance MP from Tao Yang, we use that all the time to help balance agents, populating groups from SQL Data, the Kevin Holtman blog I referenced, Kevin Justin's blog, Tim McFadden's blog, the Silex site. These are all great resources. If you have questions about any of these, come find me afterwards, and I'd be happy to talk to you about them. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, John. It's amazing to hear SiteScope after a long time.
SiteScope.
All right. Okay, so next, let's say Purdue University. I'd like to invite Sean on the podium. I'm pretty sure he's going to share a ton of information with regard to the overall System Center stack, not just about the System Center Operation Manager. Over to you.
Hello. Got to get my bearings. All right, so Purdue University. I'm Sean Williams. I'm a system engineer with Purdue. I handle SCOM probably half the time. The other half, I'm busy doing other people's problems. So SCOM helps with other people's problems. But I want to highlight real quick, this is some information about Purdue, but I wanted to point out my executive director there. He was pretty instrumental in getting a lot of the monitoring funding set up and getting operations manager fully supported with us. He was a pretty good guy with this. So at Purdue, we have a very interesting landscape. A lot of our servers, systems, functions are spread across just like a snowflake. So each blue box is actually a different group at the university. So we have a customer application group, we have database services, we have Windows services, Linux services, different storage tiers. Each team has their own tool, each team does their own thing. There was no cross communication. So it was a pretty interesting challenge when we started. Biggest problem we had was we couldn't bring all that data together. So we had numerous failed attempts at actually bringing all of this information into one holistic platform so that we could actually start troubleshooting with it. That way, when somebody did call, ask me for help, I had something to fall back on that was uniform across the infrastructure. So we had data reporting in other silos, complex relationships, and then we had pretty much no system metrics. So we brought in the System Center suite. We're going to bring all these up. So we use Operations Manager really, really heavily. We also use Virtual Machine Manager to manage all of our Hyper-V landscapes. We use Data Protector, and Service Manager for our change management and ITSM. We're looking forward to the future. We're also going to look at the VMware backups for DPM and CMDB, things like that. But related to the monitoring scenario, this was the monitoring stack that we were looking at. So we needed to do something that showed outside in, showed the load balancers, application stack, operating system virtualization. So this is pretty much my claim to fame at the moment. Each app had to go through this iteration. What we wanted to do was use Ops Manager as that center, puts management packs on at each tier so that we had common information. So we focused on using SCOM's distributed application model. One of the challenges was that most of our enterprise applications were Linux-based. So we had to make sure that we had full visibility into that Linux stack. So we had Linux servers, Oracle databases, we had F5, other appliances. Then we have the integration with the ASM. That helped us find other aspects of or what we called OMS. So we also do log aggregation. And we can bring everything up into OMS, start searching through those logs, and then bring that visibility back down into OMS and back down into Operations Manager, and then disseminate that information. All right, and there we go. So once our first initial app was Blackboard Learn, when we created the DA, this is an example of the DA, we went through each level of that infrastructure so that we had a nice holistic documented map of what was going on and where problems might occur. This is the OMS service map. So we were able to bring in, so when point in time issues occurred, we could go back in time, figure out what was going on from all of those collected logs. That was the additional insight that we needed in order to troubleshoot problems. And this was probably the most important piece of our infrastructure, was showing all of the different pieces of our infrastructure that we could monitor right out of the box. So Microsoft Management Packs, the JEE application, Tomcat, MySQL. We also did the standard Microsoft products like Apache, IIS, Windows Server, and things like that. And then we had some external management packs that helped fill in our gaps. So we have the Veeam Management Pack, we have the ComTrade packs, the squared up Citrix Long Odd Simulator, and the Data on Demand pack. That really helped us bring all of that data into one holistic view and get it working. Specifically for 2016, some of the new features like figuring out how to tune the management packs, find updated management packs due to the default discoveries, those were very, very key, because as we were putting agents out there, we could start to bring in, oh, we didn't realize we had this piece of the infrastructure deployed over here. And then once we had that, we could address it and start adding it to our list for discovery. I think that's it.
Yep.
I kind of went fast through that.
Sure.
But it's a good product.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.
All right, so next I have Thomas from ITnetX AG. He has a very interesting environment, kind of a large-scale provider, if I may, and a great set of deployment strategy, something what we could learn from him. Over to you, Thomas.
Thank you, Hey everyone. I hope you enjoyed Ignite as much as I did. My name is Thomas Maurer. I work as a cloud architect for ITnetX, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in cloud and data center management. I work for ITnetX, and ITnetX is a consulting and engineering company based in Switzerland, as you might hear from my accent. We are focused on Microsoft technology primarily, and we are helping customers to help get them on the right track in terms of data center, cloud management, etc. So we are partnering heavily with Microsoft to get the latest and best information and work on products to also improve them. And we are very early adopters of Windows Server and System Center 2016. We were in the TAP program to work with several customers on that to make sure they can benefit from that. So what we are doing is basically we're building concepts and architectures and consult customers in different technology parts, like let's say Hyper-V, Windows Server, the whole System Center suite, and also obviously Azure as well. So we also then implement that and build solutions for those customers. They are not only related to data center and cloud, but also in the modern workplace arena. But what I really want to talk about is a couple of cases we did with customers. And we had a great team here putting those together. And I'm the lucky guy who can present those solutions and scenarios to you. So first one I want to mention is a large-scale deployment for a service provider we did. Right now we have around or over 500 physical hosts which we are deploying. You can imagine that we run Hyper-V and we can run a couple of virtual machines on those. So that's what we are using there. And to manage those, we use System Center Operations Manager and some Azure security and management solutions. So basically what we have is a data center, again, a couple of hundreds of physical boxes, a second one, and also a third one and a fourth one already in planning to be delivered later on. So we're using System Center Operations Manager 2016 to monitor those physical boxes and management virtual machines we run on top of that. And then we basically use Azure Security and Management to do some log analytics and things, which is very hard to achieve if you do it on-prem, right? So we're leveraging the power of System Center and the power of Azure and bring that together in a hybrid story to make that work. So as you can imagine, we have a couple of physical hosts, Hyper-V hosts, but we also have a lot of network devices. We're running some network devices which have a Linux OS on top of it. We also have some other Linux virtual machines. And for all of those solutions and services we deploy here, we use Operations Manager to monitor those. So if something fails or something in the environment is going to fail, we use Operations Manager to send alertings out and make sure that we are on the right track here. But with an environment like this, it's not only about like monitoring, right? There are a lot of other challenges you might have in such a large-scale environment. So one of them is obviously log analytics. So we're using Azure Log Analytics to gathering all those logs from our systems and then decide what's going on. And it helps us really quickly to drill down into the specifics and see what goes wrong or what was going wrong in a couple of weeks ago already, or where are we going in the future. So we can do that, also use that for capacity management. And then the last one, one of the largest challenges we have is security, right? The team is right now back in Switzerland building some solutions into that architecture to make the environment highly secure. And you can imagine that this is not something easy to do, especially if you're a very small team to achieve this. So we are leveraging the Azure Security and Management solution to bring that together and help us here quickly going forward without doing the whole stuff by ourselves, right? So this is the first scenario I want to talk about, and it's quite an interesting one. So the second one is actually one we have done a couple of times for different other service providers, but also for some enterprise customers which wanted to have a self-service experience within their data center. So what we're doing is usually customers want some self-service portal where they can just order things. That could be virtual machines, but that could be also other things like chairs or laptops and new devices. And they want to have it ITSM based and managed, right? So they want to have ITSM management there, and it should be highly automated. So that's the key thing here. When we talk about services, again, this could be virtual machines. It could be also PaaS services like SQL hosting, SharePoints, Exchange mailboxes, and so on. But then even like full managed VMs. And we worked on that in those scenarios to highly automate that and use the full System Center stack to deliver that. So to bring that together again, we have some couple of workloads. Most of them are always, or most of the time, based on virtual machines. And in that, we run then maybe sometimes just a couple of virtual machines, or we use it as PaaS services, SQL hosting, etc. And then even those full managed services. And then we use Windows Azure Pack as the front end, the portal for the customer experience to do self-servicing. This then is attached to Service Manager to bring the whole process scape, incident management, request management, etc. to the whole picture. And from there, we then run different runbooks in System Center Management Automation, or SMA, to do the whole automation part. So we have some pretty smart PowerShell and automation guys which are writing those runbooks to make sure that everything is done automatically. And then, obviously, we not only automate the deployment process, but we also deploy in Virtual Machine Manager. We add those systems to Operations Manager. We automatically deploy the Operations Management agent to those systems and just make sure that they're also included into the backup using, for example, DPM as well. So bringing that whole System Center solution together is a huge value for a lot of our customers. So the last one I want to talk about is really a pure DPM case. They're also using ITSM, but in that scenario, I really want to highlight the DPM case. So as you might think, companies based in Switzerland, they have some regularity in terms of using Azure or the public cloud. So backup to the cloud is a hard topic for us to sell in some cases. So what they want to do is like centralized backups in their offices. So this is an example branch offices our customers have. They're running typical workloads, documents, SharePoint, databases, virtual machines, like everything in the branch offices. And then we use, of course, the protection manager to back up those services as well. What we are then doing is we are then replicating those backup data to another DPM server, which is placed on the headquarter. So if the first branch office fails totally or disaster strikes, we can then restore from the headquarter if we want to. And then we're not only doing that for one of the branch offices, we do that for a couple of branch offices all over the world. So what we are doing here is really backing up different Windows Server 2016 Hyper-V virtual machines, SQL Server workloads, Exchange workloads, file server workloads, and so on, just bringing that back and all done by DPM. We're then using the DPM to DPM features, which then gives us a great value in terms of restoring files, even though like a full site was failing, right? So if you haven't had a look at this, if you're really running DPM, I highly encourage you to use that. If you don't want to use a feature like DPM to Azure, for example. We are now heavily in the talk to the customer to make that the DPM to Azure solution to even do our backup, the long-term backups into the Azure cloud. So with the upgrade, by the way, to Data Protection Manager 2016 and the modern storage features, this also helped us to improve our storage efficiency by 50%, right? So we reduced that heavily with the new modern storage features in DPM. So those were the 3 cases I want to talk about, or scenarios I want to talk about. If you have any questions, I'm here until Saturday, so just pick me up. And I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that. So with that, thank you, Mish.
Thanks, Thomas. Just want to make sure, I hope this is finding interesting for all of you, different use cases, different deployment, how the technologies is used in these environment for various different operations purposes and stuff. I hope this is working out well on you. I would like to welcome Jimmy from ITON, who's going to walk through some of those scenarios.
Thank you. The last couple of years, Eton worked hard on a private cloud product. I'm responsible for the backend team where we develop, build, and maintain our private cloud solution. With the update to System Center 2016, we got better control over our data center. How is System Center 2016 making our product better, and how do we use it? I want to share with you what we built and what features are important to us. We at Eton believe that if we make strategic choices in what we do and don't do, we can focus and deliver the requested expertise. Eaton uses the following principles in providing cloud solutions. Can we build a service in Azure? We prefer to do that with Microsoft solutions and turnkey software solutions. When the customer is not able or does not want to go to Azure, we have our own private cloud hosted in a data center in the Netherlands. We can also build on-premises solutions. So in short, public first, Microsoft first, and SaaS first. What you often see are environments that have grown organically. These are often a problem with expansion because, for example, new hardware cannot be properly matched, or it simply no longer fits into the rack. For this reason, we have chosen a standardized rack design, PODS, Performance Optimized Data Center. Each rack consists of one Dell chassis with 16 Hyper-V nodes and 4 scaled file servers plus a SAN. This is all connected by 40 gigabit per second network connectivity. Connections to other racks are done through central networking racks. I believe it is important for your customers that the virtual machines are always available, and therefore we have chosen a high available configuration with minimal single point of failures. If high availability is not possible, we have rolled out at least 2 servers in 2 different data centers. By making everything high available in the process of development, the management of a private cloud environment will be easy and cost you less time. How is this done? Like I said, each rack has one 60-node Hyper-V cluster, 4-node scaled file server cluster plus a SAN. One rack can host up to 2,500 virtual machines and share a total of 500 terabyte storage and 1 million IOPS. All the servers are managed through VMM by our team. The VMs needed to operate the private cloud are shared in different data centers. Backups are done by different DPM servers. To monitor all the servers, we use different software solutions, but the most important one is SCOM. Our customer teams, the service desk, use a combination of SMA, SPF, and web. We are able to upload a configuration to Azure and deploy with Azure Automation a new tenant directly on our platform, which I will show you later. Our tenants have their own DPM server. This DPM server is configured to store long-term backups in Azure. This is done with the customer's own subscription, and the customer owns the data. I will now show you a pre-recorded demo because the process of deploying is longer than the couple of minutes I have here. In this demo, you can see how we provision a new tenant with a remote desktop cluster through Azure Automation on our platform. Why is this important? At the moment, we are able to do this on our own platform, but because this is done from Azure, we are also able to do the same on different VMM instances. For example, an on-premises installation at a customer site. What you will see then, I will play them later, is we first log into Azure and put in some parameters. The parameters filled in is like a name, the name of the domain, the total of users, and this will be used to calculate it and make a JSON file. This JSON file will be used to make a configuration that we send to our own VMM instance and will create the virtual machines. That same JSON file will be used on a later state to deploy desired state configuration, which I hope I can show you in a moment. I sped up the videos a little bit, so pay attention. What you can see here, so first we fill in the customer name, an ID, administrator password, total of users, public name, and then OK. This is step 1. After this, like I said, the JSON file is created, and I will scroll through it. It's just one big configuration file. This JSON file is sent to a hybrid worker, which talks to our VMM instance. As you can see, the VMMs are spawned and then started. Normally, this takes about 5 minutes. The JSON file that we saw before is now used to compile the desired state configuration, as you can see here. And it will configure the file server, the RDS servers, and the domain, and everything needed. When it's ready, it's sent to our local environment again, and it will start processing. Especially the last step is taking very long, so it's a time lapse. But you see here the name of the servers and if they are compliant or not. They are now in progress, and eventually most of them will be completed, but one step will fail in this demo. And then we can drill down by clicking on it and clicking on it again. You see exactly what step has failed. And after this, we have a fully functional RDS environment. Back to the slides.
Back to the slide.
With the design of our private cloud, we wanted to make sure we have a high available and expandable solution. Because we work with a standardized rack design, with everything included to host up to 2,500 virtual machines, we can easily expand when extra capacity is needed. The last rack was built, tested and put in production in less than 2 weeks. All the System Center components are either high available in a cluster or they are load balanced. Because of this, we can update during work hours with minimal impact on the business. The same goes for switching and connects to other data centers. So Windows update, not a problem. Fan in a switch defect, not a problem. Emergency firmware update, not a problem. The redundancy in almost all components helps with easy maintenance. With PowerShell scripts partially written by the wonderful PowerShell community, we are able to update the always-on SQL clusters with minimal impact. Updating all the servers is just running a script each month. I am a little bit stubborn. My coworkers don't think it's a little bit, but I thought it was a good idea to see how much data we can fit on one DPM server. With 120 terabytes inside, we hit LDM limits. After this, it was not possible to make backups, even with co-location settings enabled. We connected 121 terabyte disks, and it was using a lot of space because of how DPM 2012 works with volumes. With DPM 2016 came a new feature, modern backup storage. This was for us a very important new feature that we started to use. In short, it means for you that you can use your valuable storage to store even more backups. DPM 2016 storage consumption is now in line with the data source. We have chosen to give every customer its own DPM server. Because of this choice, every customer has his own Azure subscription attached to the DPM server and is the owner of the data. For our customers, the feeling of control is important. And they also have total control over the GFS scheme to Azure for the long-term backups. While there are many features new in System Center 2016, I want to highlight 2 of them that make our life easier. With the alert filtering feature, we're able to show only the alerts that we think are important. In the administration console in SCOM 2016, you can go to the administration pane and then tune management packs. In this view, you can see what management pack triggered what alert. It is now very easy to see what your top 10 alerts are. When you click on the management pack, you can see how many times the specific alert was triggered, and from that point, you can view or edit the rule and make the override you want. Because the virtual machines on our platform use a shared storage solution, we have to limit the IOPS a disk can get. In 2012, we had to do that with scripts directly onto the Hyper-V hosts. With VMM 2016, you can configure this policy in VMM itself. You can even build different policies for all your needs. For example, a total of IOPS per disk or per VM. Being able to tweak and tune the IOPS is very important for us to guarantee platform stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right. I'd like to invite Riaz, my colleague, to try to start to give an update on some of the beyond 2016 investment, how we are looking at it and stuff.
Thank you, Mahesh. So first of all, thanks to all our customers who were here to sort of help share their experiences, their different topology. It was interesting to sort of see, you know, an enterprise, a university, a consulting service, a hoster providing and using, you know, different system center components to, you know, get their job done. So a big round of applause for all of them. So I guess the next question, so just to sort of, you know, we'll talk a little bit about what is next for System Center. I know when Mahesh asked who all have attended Bala's session on Tuesday, I think few hands went up, so I'm guessing some of you did not attend, so it would be good to sort of share that. And then we have a demo at the end which sort of ties everything together in System Center. So let's go through. So for beyond System Center, so just give a sort of quick recap. We are moving to what we call semi-annual channel release. So the plan is to sort of every 6 months release a version of System Center which allows customers to sort of get faster features. Obviously, given it is 6 months, the set of features would be more focused and less compared to what you see in 3-year release. But there is definitely a lot of features, and we are right now working on the next release of the first release of a semi-annual channel, which will be in public preview in November, around November 8, and then we plan to do a GA sometime January, February time frame. So just to give that context. As part of that release, one other thing as part of that release, this was one of the feedback we got from the session on Tuesday, saying, hey, what components of System Center are you including in this release of System Center, right? I want to clarify that all the components that are there in System Center 2016 are all part of the semi-annual release, right? That means VMM, that means SCCM, that means COM, that it means SM, that means CO, that means SMA, that means SPF. So, and the endpoint protection. So just to clear that part, because there were a lot of feedback and questions that I heard even at the booth around this, so I'm just trying to clarify. Here are some of the features that we are planning to do or are planned in the first System Center release. So we've tried to break them down into, what we need from a provision, configure, automate perspective, and the next section will be more monitoring and then, protection. So here to give you a few of the features, the full list is here, right? But we are doing nested virtualization, we are doing improvements in Azure add-in, improvements in storage costs, improvements in Linux in shielded VMs, as well as SDN stack. So there are a lot of features. Some of them are enhancements on the 2016 side of the world, Windows Server 2016. Some are new for Windows Server 1709. So Mahesh, you want to cover a little bit of the next section?
Why not? So the next segment is around the monitor, analyze, and remediate, right? And it's pretty much the operations manager and service manager, set of functionality there. So we are making several improvements in operations manager from a monitoring experience point of view. For example, we had started on with HTML5, web console experience in 2016, and we are kind of, converging on, completing that particular work, I would say, in this particular release. So we are finishing up with the dashboard was not an HTML5. Now we have kind of improved the dashboard experience with the web console, which is with completely HTML5. We're just not confining to our own set of widgets. We are trying to open up the platform for third-party open source widgets into it, so the experience is a lot more jazzier based on the requirement of the customers, if I may. All of these things would be really documented well, so that's one significant investment that we're doing. MP discoverability, we just saw an applause going up right some time back. We know that it's really a core problem today with System Center Operations Manager. In 2016, we supported that for most of the native management packs, Microsoft management packs, and now we are trying to open it up for third-party management packs or the external management packs. We all know there's so much of MP ecosystem over there. There's so many different management packs for diverse set of heterogeneous technologies and stack. So that's something which we'll embark on soon. Log monitoring has been always a challenge when it comes to the heterogeneous platform, right? I mean, we had a great log monitoring functionality for the Windows platform, but not as close to that for Linux platform. And this is something which we have tried to tackle this time around. in beyond 2016. And the way we are trying to do is not really zero in on our proprietary technologies like the OMI provider or OMI stack, but then really go being a lot more native, from a Linux point of view. And that's where you're getting to see Fluentd technologies and stuff. So by virtue of which you can really parse the log to an extent that you would like to really process that information for your monitoring experiences. And that's something which you have included. And again, and the key is about partnership and working with the ecosystem. And Fluentd has such an amazing ecosystem when it comes to diverse technology. We can leverage those plugins, whatever they have. I hope you guys understand the plugin model. So the Fluentd has a plugin model through which you can input, basically subscribe to a specific system with an input plugin. You can process that information through a the filter or the parser plugin, and then you can have your output plugin to which you're going to conduit that particular event or information to your system center. So we are trying to have that the ecosystem contribution of those particular plugins. We want to really embrace that, and that's something which we have enabled in this particular release. Service map integration is crucial because we know that distributed application is very difficult to have it handcrafted and compiled, right? And we need automated mechanisms through which you can have application topology to be learned and then crafted onto your distributed application diagram view. That's something which you have enabled. ITSM integration. Service Manager has taken a great step in having the IT help desk story to be a lot more opened up to diverse set of products over there. I mean, at this point in time, if you have an OMS workspace, you can really see that your ITSM requirement can be addressed by various different third-party technologies, may that be ServiceNow, Provance, Sharewell, including the Service Manager. So you could have a very seamless integration of all the information that goes to the OMS workspace into various of these different IT help desk system and stuff. So there's VSAE support for the Visual Studio 2017. That's something which we have targeted. We have not released it yet, but then we are actively working on it. We are trying to extend that to some more little enhancements to have the MP more from a templatized way of authoring. So that's something which you're trying to work with a partner. A dear partner of us is trying to help us on that. Collaboration, Kerberos auth for cloud infrastructure requirement is crucial when it comes to having all of these Linux nodes as a base infra for those data centers and stuff. And this is something which you have enabled. Customers would start feel a lot more comfortable in having deployed the Linux node as part of their data center stack and stuff. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Mesh. So, and on the Protect side in DPM, there is backup support for RS3 deployment, as well as the VMware VM backup can now use the new modern backup storage with the new release. They are also adding the central reports for backup. So those are the other features that are there in DPM. But above all of this, there are a lot of fundamental improvements which are happening in terms of the host refresher in VMM becoming faster, the SCOM, the HTML dashboards are becoming faster. So there is good performance improvements. VMware migration is going to be 50% faster based on our internal validation. And there has been a lot of ask for supporting TLS 1.2, and that's something they're sort of adding to all of the system center components.
Demo.
So, like we said, we'll do a quick demo. To set the context for the demo, let me sort of give you a bit, right? There's a company which has a, say, dev service. The dev service actually looks something like this, right? There is an app, website, which is backed by a SQL. The website is behind a software load balancer in front of it. This runs all in Hyper-V, different VMs, and it's managed by VMM. The SQL is backed up by DPM with long-term retention to Azure backup. The whole environment is monitored by SCOM, and SCOM is connected to SM. So if there are, say, CPU alerts which go above certain threshold, it's going to open a ticket in Service Manager. And Service Manager is connected to the ITSM connector, which is in Azure. So this is one of the Azure security and management services in public preview right now. And that's what Mahesh mentioned earlier, that that connector can be for Service Manager, ServiceNow, Cherwell, Provence. And then, using Azure automation, you can push some remediations on-prem into VMM. And we also using the capacity and performance solution in Azure security management. So this is the whole environment, given all the pieces which are there, and it sort of shows, how you can connect and leverage all of these to sort of get few solutions. So let me go switch to the demo machine. And again, like Jimmy, given the complexity, sort of we will walk through the demo in a video form. So I'll sort of walk through what all happens, right? So like we said, this is a VMs which are behind a load balancer. So all of that is configured in VMM using the VMM service template. As you can see here, the VM layer is there, and then there is the load balancer. Now, when this environment is set up, we also have saying the minimum number of VM instances for the website will be 2, and that's what we'll start with, and that's what this demo has it. So let's definitely first see if that's what it is, right? Okay. So actually, as you see, we're hitting that website, and for one time we're hitting VM1, then we're hitting VM2. That's basically how the software load balancer basically is balancing between the two web servers in the front. Now, as we said, we have also connected SCOM to sort of monitor and fire an alert if it reaches certain threshold in CPU usage, and it creates a ticket in Service Manager. So here we have already got a ticket created in Service Manager saying, there is spikes in the memory usage, and so let's go sort of look at the performance and capacity solution in OMS. So we'll go look at that. And here what we see that definitely the service is going, is following a sinusoidal pattern, right? And there is a lot of CPU usage at certain times. So we're going to use the power of Azure automation to sort of run a runbook and scale out that IIS service with, we have add one more VM. So this is basically now the job is submitted, and it's going to reach out via hybrid worker to VMM and scale out the VM service. So now we've got the new VM created, we've got the notification, and we'll go hit the website again. This time we'll see that we've got the VM2, now we got VM3. So the new VM has got added in the load balancer, and it's sort of scaling out behind the scene. So that's great, now it is all added, and what we now go and see in SCOM that it's automatically that VM is being monitored by SCOM, and it shows that it is healthy. So, and as you can see that the processor which was for the two machines, now the third machine got added, and it's sort of the processor usage, CPU usage has gone down. So we were able to sort of monitor that and see the CPU usage is down. This whole thing started actually with the alert, right? I mentioned that there was an alert which sort of created the service manager ticket. So this is that particular alert which sort of created the ticket. So we can right here from the HTML5, by the way, SCOM dashboard, close that alert. And actually the action of closing the alert here, because it is connected to a service manager, it will close the ticket in service manager. So as you see, we've sort of tied a lot of these products together to get you a solution, and so the demo was sort of trying to depict that.
Done.
That's it.
That's it, right?
So let me switch back to, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, clicker.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone. I hope this format of getting customers in the presentation and sharing various different topologies sort of helped you. Do give us feedback if you love. We can probably look at this sort of sessions in the future as well. And I guess we have time for a few questions. You guys want to come on on stage?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have some mics here. If you, I think first, second, third, 3 places. If you want to use the mic or you want to come near the stage, whatever is fine.
All right, I have a question.
Sure.
It's working?
Yep.
It's a little high for me. So my question is, what is when you have multiple system administrators or system engineers that are dealing with SCOM, what is the best way that it should be set up? I heard earlier today that you shouldn't be trying to run SCOM from a remote server, and I think it was designed for it to be run directly from your own laptop. I'm from a large enterprise, and we don't have access to everything. So what is the best way to set up when you have a very large environment, probably comparable to the GM environment?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, okay. The way we do it is, I tried running it from my laptop, connecting to the management servers. It was always slow because I'm sitting in Austin, Texas, and our servers are in Detroit, Michigan. So the best way for me to do it was to, if you remember my diagram, I had one management server that was not actually hosting agents. So I install the console there on that server, and I just remote desktop to that one particular management server, and I run it from there. In our case, it helps me to also keep clear in my head which management group I'm connecting to, right?
Is that also, or it's you and a fleet of people that are doing this, right? So everyone logs into that one remote server?
Well, that's a good point. Our team is small. So I think, yeah, to your point, I think the expected method is console on your local system.
That's right.
And then you have to deal with any latency issues, right?
Yeah. So there are, kind of capabilities like your user roles and admin roles kind of functions which you can leverage for really crafting the, delegation or even the, privileges for the users. SCOM supports that. It may not be to a great granular extent from the point of view of all the nitty-gritty functions that, you would like to have a permission granted to. But then you definitely have at a high order bit, some of the, controls can be really crafted with those groups. Yeah. And then you could have those user roles, allocated to certain group of machines, trying to indicate that, hey, that group of machines, these are the set of users having a permission upon. Right?
just to make sure that.
Roman,
So I'm Roman Ifri from Vicot, and Mahesh, I think it's a question to you. This question is about APM, because in 2016 I couldn't see, let's say, in the recent update, too much new things about APM, and there's still, I could see many customers who are still concerned about sensitivity of the data, so they couldn't start use append sites. So what's going to be with the APM?
That's a great question. So application performance monitoring has been a little bit of a challenge with the System Center Operation Manager, primarily because there's a lot of innovation that's happening in the append sites side, and we see a lot of customers really drifting towards the cloud for deploying the applications and others. We understand that there are good number of customers who do have applications which they do not want to leave their data centers or geography or their enterprise network, and we need to have them supported. There are a couple of things which we need to really prioritize. One is about really having the management packs up to date, for some of those technology. For example, the Java, the J2E or the .NET related management packs, something which we need to update. We are still trying to prioritize that. We need to figure out how that we would be able to tackle. Outside of that, the other thing is about, we are not hearing a lot of ask from the point of view of the capabilities in the application performance monitoring. Yes, there are certain reliability related aspects, app pool related, aspects which you're trying to nail. And one of that issue is something which are getting addressed in the upcoming update, roll up and others. So by and large, we really are looking customers to embrace the append sites, because append sites also supports the on-premise application to be monitored. If that's not possible, then these are the steps that we would be doing from an on-prem APM point of view.
Yes, thank you. I think your answer about management packs is, let's say, most relevant, because it was demand about, let's say, for example, improving monitoring for Java or some other particular technologies.
That's true. I completely understand. And interestingly, the append site supports all the latest and greatest of these technologies from the monitoring point of view. And that's the reason why I feel that the customer should embrace on the append sites. But then if you still find that there are scenarios of these, that's something which we would prioritize the management pack updates for those.
Is this thing on? Can you, I guess not. Can you expand on the automation options in terms of Orchestrator, SMA, any new features in 2016 from 2012, and when would you use one over the other?
Right. Riaz, so I know this gentleman was looking for you in the booth, so he didn't find you.
I've been tormenting you guys all week.
Okay, so I'll just say basically so to answer your question, so SCO is, we've heard the feedback on, quite a bit of features that customers have asked for, right? And this is a feedback that we've been hearing for many years, right? And when we started looking at it a few years back, what we realized is SCO itself, given that it is 32-bit architecture, it is .NET 2.0, given all the limitations which were there, enabling those features was very difficult, short of redesigning it. And that's what ended up happening is SCO, the next version sort of was SMA, which allowed to get some of the features that customers were asking, like PowerShell support and standard, getting away from all the integration packs and those sort of environment, because now all third-party interactions are through PowerShell modules, and then there is a big ecosystem of the customer of the PowerShell community which can help you there, right? And as that came out, then customers say, hey, I love the GUI in Orchestrator. I love some of the things which Orchestrator is, and give me that, right? And we couldn't give that in SMA. At the same time, the customers were coming to us and saying, hey, we also have resources now in Azure, and we need to automate the processes in Azure. That is where the culmination of Azure automation came, where we said, hey, let's take SMA to the next stage, get it Azure automation, right? And now in Azure automation, we have got GUI, the orchestrator sort of GUI. We've got the other features that customers were asking, for example, event-based automation, triggering runbooks, the source control integration, and So, and then they've added more like webhooks, they've added now Python support, we've added Bash support, so multiple languages for heterogeneous environment. So that's basically how the evolution has happened, right? And I understand that some of the customers still have Orchestrator and a lot of assets in Orchestrator. The path forward is, looking at how we can take that assets and migrate them to Azure Automation. This is where we have the Orchestrator migration toolkit that helps you to sort of get there, and that's in beta right now. We'd love to get customers to try, the Orchestrator customers to try this and get feedback so we can sort of release it more formally. The other part, which is also I want to sort of call out, is when we talk to customers saying, hey, but Azure Automation is more for Azure. No, it's also for on-prem. You can use hybrid worker, and that's exactly what I showed in the demo here, right? Where I was able to use Azure Automation to spin up a VM behind a load balancer all through a script, PowerShell script, which ran from, which ran hybrid on your local on-prem on VMM. So that's basically the story, and I would say look at it from that perspective and see what you can do to migrate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, looks like we are done. Thanks, guys.